Hi everyone, this is Francisco and I'm recording live. Hi everyone. Let me see here. Okay. I just heard someone say okay. I just heard someone say okay. And I don't even know what that means. Let's see here. Is that better? Is that better? Yeah, sorry about that. If I cut the transmission and made unnecessary speaker speaker noise. Look how filthy those things are. Take a good look at that. Yeah. Okay. I was just born yesterday. Did you guys know that? Yeah, I was just born yesterday. Yes. I guess something something happened to my brain, and so they had to implant a new one into my body. That's why I wrote this on my T-shirt. AI technology. You see that? AI. Excuse me. Let's see here. Shit. Let me see if I can read. Let me see if I can read the definition for that for all of you. Artificial intelligence on Wikipedia. Artificial intelligence from Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. AI redirects here. Further uses the AI disambiguation, artificial intelligence, disambiguation, and intelligent agent. Part of a series on artificial intelligence, major goals, approaches, philosophy, history, technology, glossary. Artificial intelligence, AI, is intelligence perceiving, synthesizing, and inferring information demonstrated by machines as opposed to intelligence displayed by non-human animals and humans. Example tasks in which this is done include speech recognition, computer vision, translation between natural languages, as well as other mappings of inputs. The Oxford English Dictionary of Oxford University Press defines artificial intelligence as the theory and development of computer systems able to perform tasks that normally require human intelligence, such as visual perception, speech recognition, decision making, and translation between languages. AI Applications include advanced web search engines, e.g., Google, recommendation systems used by YouTube, Amazon, and Netflix, understanding human speech, such as Siri and Alexa, self-driving cars, e.g., Waymo, automated decision-making, and competing at the highest level in strategic game systems such as chess and Go. As machines become increasingly capable, tasks considered to require intelligence are often moved from the definition of AI, a phenomenon known as the AI effect. For instance, optical character recognition is frequently included from things considered to be AI having become a routine technology. Artificial intelligence was founded as an academic discipline in 1956, and in the years since has experienced several waves of optimism, followed by disappointment and the loss of funding, known as an AI winter, followed by new approaches, successes, and renewed funding. AI research was tried and discarded many different approaches since its funding, including simulating the brain, modeling human problem solving, formal, formal, formal logic, large databases of knowledge, and imitating animal behavior. In the first decades of the 21st century, highly mathematical, statistical human learning has dominated the field, and this technique has proved highly successful, helping to solve many challenging problems throughout industry and academia. Academia. The various subfields of AI research are centered around particular goals and the use of particular tools. The traditional goals of AI research include reasoning, knowledge, perception, planning, learning, natural language processing, perception, and the ability to move and manipulate objects. General intelligence, the ability to solve an arbitrary problem, is among the field's long-term goals. To solve these problems, AI researchers have adapted and integrated a wide range of problem-solving techniques, including search and mathematical optimization, formal logic, artificial neural networks, and methods based on statistics, probability, and economics. AI also draws upon computer science, psychology, linguistics, philosophy, and many other fields. The field was founded on the assumption that human intelligence can be so precisely described that a machine can be made to simulate it. This raised philosophical arguments about the mind and the ethical consequences of creating artificial beings endowed with human-like intelligence. These issues have previously been explored by myth, fiction, and philosophy since antiquity. Computer scientists and philosophers have since suggested that AI may become an existential risk to humanity if its rational capacities are not steered towards beneficial goals. History. Main articles: History of Artificial Intelligence and Timeline of Artificial Intelligence. Artificial beings with intelligence appeared as storytelling devices in antiquity and have been common in fiction, as in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein or Carol Capek RUR. These characters and their fates raise many of the same issues now discussed in the ethics of artificial intelligence. The study of mathematical or formal reasoning began with philosophers and mathematicians in antiquity. The study of mathematical logic led directly to Alan Turing's theory of computation, which suggested that a machine, by shuffling symbols as simple as 0 and 1, could simulate any conceivable act of mathematical deduction. This insight that digital computers can simulate any process of formal reasoning is known as the Church-Turing thesis. These, along with concurrent discoveries in neurobiology, information theory, and cybernetics, led researchers to consider the possibility of building an electronic brain. The first work that is now generally recognized as AI was McCulloch and Pitt's 1943 formal design for Turing-complete artificial neurons. By the 1950s, two visions for how to achieve machine intelligence emerged. One vision, known as symbolic AI or GOFAI, was to use computers to create a symbolic presentation of the world and systems that could reason about the world. Proponents included Alan Newell, Herbert A. Simon, and Marvin Minsky. Closely associated with this approach was the heuristic search approach, which likened intelligence to a problem of exploring a space of possibilities for answers. The second vision, known as the connectionist approach, sought to achieve intelligence through learning. Proponents of this approach, most inspired by connections of neurons, James Manica and others have compared the two approaches to the mind, symbolic AI, and the brain, connectionist. Manica argues that symbolic approaches dominated the push for artificial intelligence in this period, due in part to its connection to intellectual traditions of Descartes, Bull, Gottlob Frege, Bertrand Russell, and others. Connectionist approaches based on cybernetics or artificial neural networks were pushed to the background but have gained new prominence in recent decades. The field of AI research was born at a workshop at Dartmouth College in 1956. The attendees became the founders and leaders of AI research. They and their students produced programs that the press described as astonishing. Computers were learning checkers, strategies, solving word problems in algebra, pro- proving logical theorems, and speaking English. By the middle of the 1960s, research in the U.S. was heavily funded by the Department of Defense, and laboratories had been established around the world. Researchers in the 1960s and the 1970s were convinced that symbolic approaches would eventually succeed in creating a machine with artificial general intelligence and considered this the goal of their field. Herbert Simon predicted machines will be capable within 20 years of doing any work a man can do. Marvin Minsky agreed, writing within a generation, the problem of creating artificial intelligence will substantially be solved. They had failed to recognize the difficulty of some of the remaining tasks. Progress slowed, and in 1947, in response to the criticism of Sir James Lighthill and ongoing pressure from the U.S. Congress to fund more productive projects, both the U.S. and British governments cut off exploratory research in AI. The next few years would later be called an AI winter, a period when obtaining funding for AI projects was difficult. In the early 1980s, AI research was revived by the commercial success of expert systems, a form of AI program that simulated the knowledge and analytical skills of human experience. By 1985, the market for AI had reached over $1 billion. At the same time, Japan's fifth generation computer project inspired the US and British governments to restore funding for academic research. However, beginning with the collapse of the Lips machine market in 1887, AI once again fell into disrepute, and a second, longer-lasting winter began. Many researchers began to doubt that the symbolic approach would be able to imitate all the processes of human cognition, especially perception, robotics, learning, and pattern recognition. A number of researchers began to look into sub-symbolic approaches to specific AI problems. Robotics researchers such as Rodney Brooks rejected symbolic AI and focused on the basic engineering problems that would allow robots to move. survive and learn their environments. Interest in neural networks and connectionism was revived by Geoffrey Hinton, David Rumhart, and others in the middle of the 1980s. Soft computing tools were developed in the 1980s, such as neural networks, fuzzy systems, gray system theory, evolutionary computation, and many tools drawn from statistics or mathematical optimization. AI gradually restored its reputation in the late 1990s and early 21st century by finding specific solutions to specific problems. The narrow focus allowed researchers to produce verify, verifiable results, exploit more mathematical methods, and collaborate with other fields such as statistics, economics, and mathematics. By 2000, solutions developed by AI researchers were being widely used, although in the 1990s they were rarely described as artificial intelligence. Faster computers, algorithmic improvements, and access to large amounts of data enabled advances in machine learning and perception. Data-hungry data learning methods started to dominate accuracy benchmark around 2012. According to Bloomberg's Jack Clark, 2015 was a large year for artificial intelligence, with the number of software projects that use AI within Google increased from a